On the 9th of July, the Reserve Bank will let us know whether the official cash rate is going up, staying the same, or going down. But today, we'll let you know what's going to happen because we've got the inside word. Phil, what is going on?
What is going on, Luke, is we've polished our foresight balls and we've got $1 odds from the great betting platform that isn't the TAB that interest rates are going to remain on hold.
On hold?
Yep.
Oh, nah, I'll take the $1.50 that they go down.
That they go down?
Yeah.
Oof,
because
geez.
it's very clear now
Yes.
that National hated Adrian Orr.
And this is where we're going.
Yeah.
Wow, early on. Good.
They've rolled him.
Yep.
They now have somebody in charge that they can control.
Yep. Hawkesby.
And they are telling the Shrewsbury, we'll push the middle of this,
Yes.
and you will do as we say. We are completely independent, but this economy is in the shit, and we need to be re-elected. That means you need to cut the official cash rate. Appreciate that inflation's sticky.
Wow.
We're inside the 1 to 3% band. Shrewsbury, you do as we say. Otherwise, we'll cut your funding even further, and you won't have a job. So
this wall that exists between the government and the bank, you're suggesting there's a little hole in there.
This is
and Willis, Nicola Willis, is in there going, oi, Shrewsbury.
I mean, this could be considered a conspiracy theory, and I would keep it at that. But that is my take. I think that there'll be pressure behind the scenes for this to come down. I appreciate it's all independent, but I'm
just echoing the sentiment of our all-knowing, all-powerful, all-inspiring economists that get it wrong 100% of the time. Shout out to all of you out there. And the reason for this is the NZIER do a quarterly survey of business opinion. And apparently, and I didn't know this, that it has been going since 1961, surveys over 10,000 New Zealand businesses. That's a lot of businesses.
It is.
Obviously, we don't know who those businesses are, so can't speak for the quality of them. So quantity does not necessarily correlate with quality. But the key comment that they make here is closely watched by the Reserve Bank. So I was like, when they're sitting around their table and Shrewsbury's tucking into the chocolate chippies with his cup of coffee and Nicola Willis is sitting next to him at the meeting she shouldn't be at with her Shrewsbury, they'll be talking about this report. And the fascinating thing about this report, and I was having a very high-level read of it on the way in, and how my brain works, and I can't reconcile this. Like, we're at odds that New Zealand businesses in the survey of responses are optimistic about the outlook. In other words, we're happy and hopeful that things in the future are going to be better. And I think, first and foremost, that's a great mindset to have. But what I don't understand is some of the conversations that we have with business owners that are at the coalface, they're not so optimistic. They're like, yeah, we think it is, but we're tired of waiting. When's it actually going to happen?
Yeah.
Because the next layer to that, so that's on the supply side, we've got all these businesses that are wanting to offer work, supply and demand. They've got the supply, let's go. We've got capacity, let's put it to use before we start and lay off more people. The flip side to the equation is demand, and the strong theme out of this data is demand is still weak. And the beautiful thing I think about demand is it's data-driven. It turns up in the numbers, and we can't argue with it. People are either coming in and spending money or they're not. And so many people are saying, no one's coming in and spending money, but we're hopeful about the future.
So if we step back and go official cash rate first, what's in there that gives them reason to believe that the official cash rate won't? It can't just be business confidence, like it must be around inflation, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's they're confident that I think what they're saying is that business owners or businesses have got confidence that things are going to bubble along and we're going to get into a recovery. And I think what the Reserve Bank, and I haven't immediately seen anything about inflation, but what Shrewsbury could potentially be doing is going, let's leave it locked in terms of the OCR now to keep a lid on inflation getting out of the 3% range rather than doing what out the back door ordered, but in reverse in terms of he let it go to the bottom too far and then they skyrocketed inflation. I think they're probably trying to get more of a managed approach and go, hey, well, let's signal to the market. No. you can't count on it this time. Let's just bubble along and see where we go and let it just slowly find its natural bottom, because it still might drop down a little bit more because everyone's going, oh, rates are going up, rents are going up, insurance is going up. Yeah, fact, they absolutely are.
Not rents, mate, don't worry.
Aren't they going up?
No.
Ah, okay. Phew. But what was it? Rates and insurances definitely are. That's quite prominent out there. I think petrol prices, which is the big one that people go on about a fair bit, move up and down, but I think they've been coming down potentially from what I've read. Maybe not.
Got a test, mate, I'm not sure.
You wouldn't know.
Power's going
but
up,
the
though.
power price, but your price of power is going through the roof. Yeah. Have you been called and said, hey, do you want to lock in a power price?
Well, I use PowerShop, mate. Shout out to PowerShop. If you do want to sign up to PowerShop, they'll give you $150 off over a 12-month period. Get in touch and I'll give you my sign-up link. It gives me $100 off my power as well. But you can lock in a forward price.
Yeah, nice.
It's quite sexy.
So I don't know about inflation pressure, but I think that the Reserve Bank, Shrewsbury and Co., so that would obviously include the Cookie Monster and the Fairy Bread, are going, well, look, we've fought so hard to get inflation under control. We don't want to go too low on the interest rates that we end up back to where we were and then it bubbles back over their target. Maybe Hawkesby, Shrewsbury, is trying to lock in his future.
They haven't found a replacement yet, have they?
No, not that I've heard. And I don't know if he's a front runner or put his name in the hat. I mean, it might be the only name in the hat and I've just got no choice, but Nicola pulls it out. And he's got himself a job. Happy days. Could you argue that the job of the Reserve Bank could be considered one of the toughest jobs in the country, up there with the All Blacks coach? Remember they used to say back in the days of, I forget the coach's name, Henry. Graham.
Henry? Yeah.
So, toughest job in the world being the All Blacks coach because you're open to so much criticism. Yeah. I reckon the Reserve Bank Governor's up there.
Yeah, especially with the way it has been, with the profile that they have.
With what we've been through since the C-bomb days of the early 2020s to now 5 years, I don't recall a time that the economy's ever been so front of mind for average New Zealanders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, I guess, where nobody knows who the governor is when inflation's under control and house prices are going up. That keeps people happy. But you've got house prices flat and inflation that's not really under control.
I reckon a lot of people will be like, it's got to be the government because the government gives me these great things. It's because of them that my house is 10x'd in 10 years or whatever it is, and the interest rates are low and I can go out and put the boat and the jet ski on the mortgage and I've still got a mint-ass life. But it's not because the economy will come along and just go, pow, and then interest rates go up and you go, I shouldn't have made those dumb decisions. But anyway, we digress.
So I think the business confidence in that report would come from people who now are off the ledge worried about tariffs and Trump and all this uncertainty and kind of go, oh, it looks like it's calming down over there and that they've got their big, beautiful bill and therefore there's not as much to worry about as we thought. Like the last time people probably responded to that survey, is it quarterly or is it done? Okay. But even ANZ's survey, I believe there's an increase in business.
QSBO quarterly survey of business.
Yeah, I can't remember when all the tariffs kicked off. It was April, so the last survey was probably done in March. But June confidence looks like it's increased with the way that ANZ survey people. But you'd have to think people from May to June are probably feeling comfortable or more comfortable that this whole crazy shit internationally may be slowing down. Therefore, they can be a bit more confident. But but the only way I could see them keeping the OCR the same is I'm not saying it's right to decrease it, but I think that they say they're on a path to decreasing it, would maybe be to give people a little bit of a shock and awe, excuse the pun, going, right, we're going to keep it the same. And everyone goes, what? Because we've seen Xero putting their prices up in September from basically 11% increase. We're seeing multiple conversations around input prices for houses going up between 5 to 11% as well. Like you say before, rates, insurance. Someone sent me a message yesterday. Medical insurance, their premiums have gone up 51%.
No way.
Yeah, I said, get on the blower and see what you can do.
Give up the darts.
Yeah. So it is still gnarly out there, and I do think that they may not have inflation under as much control as they would like to. But even at a 2.5 or a 2.6% rate, it's a heavy devaluation of currency compounded over time. But over the last 25 years, the average rate has been 2.5 to 2.6%. So this is kind of normal for the last quarter of a century. But yeah, like you, I'm a bit confused as to where all this confidence is coming from when all of the business owners, well, a lot of the business owners that we talk to are sort of going, shit, it is grindy.
Yeah.
And like we said in the podcast recently about putting the foot down and the foot on the throat of the competitors, a lot of people just don't have the energy to do that right now. And there's, like you said in that podcast, renewed calls for layoffs, and there are people worrying about pipelines.
I think I read this stuff and it's fascinating at a high level. And I think if you're a business owner, if you gave it too much attention, it becomes noise and a distraction. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to interest rates for the average small business owner, provided you've got a mortgage broker and you're getting the right advice on your personal mortgage in terms of a repayment strategy, I don't believe that changes in the OCR for the average SME business owner should impact decisions on whether you should buy a piece of equipment or not. Like, if you need a piece of equipment, just go fucking do it. Like, don't I'm going to wait for interest rates to decrease. Because the next excuse, and we were talking about it in the office the other day, we are 6 months before the end of the year, 5 months of trading left before the country shuts down for 2 months. Then we get into the first half of next year, slow recovery because we come out, we've got summer, we've got the feel-good mood, and then boom, we're in front of an election cycle.
Yeah.
The country will stop. Decisions will stop being made come April, May, because it's like August, September, October is that election thing, and I think you'll start getting noise at that time. So the ability or the window for major business decisions to be made, if you're waiting on external validation, that window's really tightening up and closing. But if you're a small business owner and you actually believe in yourself and you back yourself, just make the decision and commit to it. Don't wait for the validation of like, interest rates, I'm going to time the market, I'm going to play the market, or bugger whatever the government's going to do. I think for the average business owner, that stuff's all just noise, periphery stuff, and it's a distraction. And the biggest concern the majority of SME business owners have is their mortgage. Am I making enough money to be able to pay my mortgage, and can I get my mortgage rates down? I'm not a professional in that space. Speak to a mortgage broker. That's what they're there for. And they will make sure that depending on your, I suppose, your financial goals, do you want to pay it down? What's the strategy you want to implement? All that kind of stuff between fixed, variable, interest only, all of that they're the experts. And I think they will guide you with that decision to help you maximize the OCR rates down and then a lock-in strategy so you're getting the benefits from that. But I think as business owners to be making decisions of all of this kind of stuff, have an awareness of what's going on, and I think it would help validate some of the activity that either is or isn't happening out there, where there's other business owners that, like you're saying, we don't know what's going on in the world because of Trump and the tariffs and then Ukraine and all this. And it's just like, come on, like, really? Like, just get out there and mow your lawns. Like, Trump's not going to impact you from going off and making an offer to go and do somebody's lawns and their edges. You're going to have to put petrol in it. Just buy the petrol and get it done. Nice. I might be oversimplifying things here, but I think if business owners are optimistic about the outlook, you're in charge of realizing that optimism, because no one else is going to make it happen. The demand's weak. We can't influence the demand terribly much until people actually feel better about themselves. If you're optimistic, well, then go and put that optimism out to the market, and then you'll be rewarded.
Yeah, it reminds me, recently somebody said, I noticed my UDC interest rates are quite high. And it's like, well, no shit, because you fixed them in a higher interest rate environment. They're like, do you think it's worth refinancing? And I guess the answer is yes, at a high level, because interest rates are cheaper. But I'm like, have you gone and done the work to figure out, can you even get out of these contracts?
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that for you. No. Or like, you can pay me and I can go and do it if you want. But, it's people hear something from somebody else and go, maybe I should be thinking about refinancing. We'll go away and like do the work to find out, can you? It's no different for all of us, And I think people don't want to do that. It's just like, more noise. Maybe I could be doing that.
Yeah.
But go and get the data that you need. And then I saw somebody the other day who has unfortunately locked their interest rates until August 2026.
Oh, wow.
And they've probably not been too close to what's going on, that the official cash rate is going like this. And so they've rung the bank, and at least to their credit, they've gone to the bank to find out what's the go here. The bank's like, you have to pay us $7,800 to break this.
Jeez.
To their credit, they said, well, will you give me a customer retention
Bonus.
Yeah. And they said, oh, we'll give you $6,000 towards it.
Net cost $1,000 bucks. Happy days.
And so now they're going to be on a cheaper interest rate and
Yeah.
clear the debt down faster. So we've got to, like the economy has turned, you've got to go and get the information that you need. But again, I think so many people just go noise, like, oh, my mate said they're refinancing. Wonder what that means for me. Go and find out.
Yeah, I would. And what makes me nervous with people that are on higher interest rates and are exploring the ability to refinance an asset, and this is not a dig or a slight at finance companies because I don't know if this is fact, but the risk is that you speak to Jenny from the finance company, and sorry if you're a Jenny that works at a finance company, but if you've got a customer that calls up and goes, hey, look, I'm on this rate, I want to refinance to a lower rate, and then the finance company goes, oh, well, your vehicle's actually got a higher market value than we originally thought. You could actually refinance and re-borrow some of the original money that you've drawn down. When I hear refinance, I admittedly clench, because if you've paid down debt according to a 3 or 5 year traditional table loan, and then you call up somebody at year 4 of a 5-year term and go, oh, can I renegotiate this, refinance this? And they go, oh, well, you've paid it right down. You've got equity in your vehicle, much like you've got equity in the house. Do you want to redraw back up to X amount, and then let's redo that loan for another 3 years at that now lower interest rate? And they'll run the numbers for you. And I think that's a slippery slope, a massive slippery slope. I think if you're go in there and refinance the existing debt and pay that down, stick to the 5-year term. If there's a early repayment or a break fee like what you're suggesting, negotiate it. People are up for negotiation these days. But if you've got the ability to redraw, and I've seen this happen with one particular business where a refinance happened, the cash got put into the business and then promptly withdrawn out.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, we know that there's only a handful of buckets, 3 buckets on a balance sheet that cash can go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it went to the big D drawings.
Sheesh.
Yeah, all of it.
Oh.
And like that, it's not cool. In hindsight, they have learnt their lesson and are now paying for their sins. But it's a lesson I don't think that would be repeated by this particular business owner. It should, though, serve as a warning for other business owners that just because the cash is available and it's easy doesn't mean it's right to do.
Yeah, I think we've touched on this before, but it's one of those things where it is easy to look at it and go, oh, like interest rates are such a major thing because they're always in the news. But is the 12% on your Ranger versus the 9% on the Ranger, is that the thing that's really going to like change your life forever and move the needle of your business? And like, is that going to get you a $100,000 contract? No. Like, should you probably go and chase that $100,000 opportunity first and then in your downtime look at the small piece of how much am I going to gain by saving 3% of interest here? Probably. But I think we look at those because they're low-hanging fruit and think, oh, yeah, I'm working on my business.
But and it's also that barroom advice where you're sitting around at the barbecue on the weekend and that's what everybody's talking about. Oh, property prices. What are they doing? Oh, what are interest rates? What are they doing? And it's just all that noise. It's easy to get trapped in there and give it attention. And I think if you just strangle and suffocate the oxygen from that noise, it then dies and then it frees you up to then go off and focus on the opportunities, like you're saying, of going, win that next $100,000 contract. Go and send those next 100 emails. Go and structure that next offer. Go and structure your next price increase. Go and do that learning, like what we've spoken about in the previous pods. You're not using NZIER properly, go and find the time to do it. Instead of going, oh, this QSBO, oh, what's this business owner, what's bloody Shrewsbury going to do on the 9th? Like, yeah, cool, let's understand, just get an idea of trends and stuff, but don't let it all be consuming that the noise drags the attention away from actually focusing on achieving some outcomes.
Yeah, it's interesting. On the noise piece, I was watching a podcast of a guy who used to work with Steve Jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying what made him so successful, and he was saying Elon's, similar, is there's so much noise, but they're very good at being like, but this is what needs to happen. And it's the way he shaped it to make it practical for everyone was most of us know each day when we get up, there's 5 things that I need to do. I need to make sure that they're done. But
Come
most
hell or
people,
high water, it's those 5 things.
yeah. And he's like, every day he would get up, he would know those things, and he would make them happen. And everything else was just noise. But I think in SME world, it is so easy to get up, jump into YouTube, jump onto the inbox, and then all of a sudden you're like distracted. And then the next day you're like, oh shit, it's Thursday now, it's Friday. And you don't stop in business to go, what do I need to get done today or this week?
And that's it. You get up and you get into the grind, and I think it's sorting out the stuff that's actually going to create traction versus the noise. And like emails, I reckon, are the noisiest fucking thing out there. It's such a time suck and such a killer. And I think one of the greatest hacks that people could have in business, if you want to make like genuine progress, you should close your email for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then just go to war with your business and just work on it with your emails closed, because that will just, every time it's like ping, ping, and it's just, lads, in New Zealand, I've got a grab a seat offer. Boom, distraction, noise. And it's distracting you from actually getting traction on one of those 5 things that were the key thing that you need to achieve. Because otherwise you get to Thursday, Friday, like you said, and you look back at the week and you're just like, yeah, what have I done? And I think if you wrap more structure around it and you go, right, today, 3 things, 5 things, what is it? Boom, 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 write it down. If something comes up, you've got to be really disciplined, I think, in your approach and go, does whatever's come up relate to one of these 3 or 5 things that are non-negotiable must-achieves today? If the answer is no, it's noise, carry on.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we're really close with our clients, so we can ask challenging questions, and that's, I think, a big difference between Next Advisory and probably a lot of other accounting firms, where we will, not just always accept what a client will say, but we'll go, have you thought about this? And today I had an instance where one of our weapon clients was saying, in a reply to an email, by the way, keen to understand how tax rules work around investing. And that was about it. So I'm like, well, there's multiple versions of investing. So at a high level, I was like, well, it's either buy and hold or you're day trading. Therefore, may have tax implications. If it's international stuff, another can of worms. I'll need some more info. But basically, they said that they were looking at doing some swing trading. So like in at $18, out at say 22.
Because that's the way it always works.
Easily, yeah. Might take a couple of months, but you take your profits off. Starting small, but going to get bigger. And I said, okay, well, from a tax side, you're probably going to build a repetitive pattern of profits and therefore have tax to pay. And I said, P.S., is this a good use of your time? Could you invest the time into the business and generate a better return plus increase in the asset, i.e. your business value? Food for thought. Not for me to tell them not to do it, but just planting a seed. And they said, see what you mean. It's really only a couple of hours each week and mainly on a Sunday, so it doesn't distract me too much. Now, I'm like, okay, cool. We've all got things that we spend time doing, completely get it, but that person has to make a decision. Like, why does it matter it's on a Sunday? Because you could still do 2 hours of learning about your business on the Sunday as well. And you might get 100x return on implementing something in your business. If you did 2 hours every Sunday, there's 104 hours. What could you learn in 104 hours?
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And you're probably then more in control of the business. However, some people do have a knack for trading and for this sort of thing. And their brains are very good at it. Very small percentage of people.
Yeah.
So again, like this person for themselves has to figure out, is this a shiny object? Is it noise?
Yeah.
But often, like we see this with business owners, they're not saying that this is this business owner, but sometimes once we achieve everything that we wanted to in a business, or we, have more time now because we haven't figured out where we're going to deploy it, then we start looking for these other things to do. But what we often see too is then doing that can unwind or take our eye off of doing all the good stuff that got us to where we are.
I just put on, hey, what I want to know, and this 18 to 22 or 26 top tip when we go off camera, could we just share the oil? Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a great reminder for business owners, and just sitting here reflecting on what we've just spoken about for the last probably coming up half an hour, my mind just rattle. It doesn't rattle because there's a lot going on in there, but it just feels like a jumbled mess trying to unpack and unwrap and get some clear thought about what we're reading and going, we're so optimistic, but demand is so weak. And then how does that then crossroads and intersect with a decision on interest rates, and therefore, I suppose from a wider point of view, where people might be mugging us off on the comments about it's noise and distraction about the OCR, is the wider impact that it will have on the mood of how people feel. Interest rates are on hold. Things can't be that good.
That'll people shit the bed.
And then the next thing is that will then flow through to property prices go down. I'm feeling shit about myself because the property's not gone up. That then will then translate. It's the fucking government's fault. So then we remain in this depressed state, and you've got Lots on Luxon going grow, 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 and he's trying to get the machine growing, but then you've got Shrewsbury holding rates, which is going to impact the mood. And I think when it starts and impacts your mood to that extent, and it's external factors driven by Shrewsbury's one decision and his mates, that would suggest to me that potentially you're not in control of your own life as much as you probably think you are.
Yeah, that's deep, mate. It's confronting for people, but
I think it would be. Yeah.
But it's a good reminder too that confidence breeds confidence, and success breeds success. We see this all the time with sports teams and people playing, out of their skin and in different sports, and often it's built from confidence, and they just, and everyone can see it. And I think it's a reminder for all of us, no matter the external noise, what can you do to build confidence in your own business? And often that means you have to take action.
Yes.
Now, you can't be confident about things happening for you if you're not taking any action. You're just waiting for it to happen. So what can you do to breed some more confidence into your own business?
I think if you're a business owner, go out and invest in some noise-cancelling headphones. Top tip.
There we go. Block out the noise. Well, we shall find out. Let us know in the comments on Spotify or on YouTube on the 9th of July, what will the RBNZ do? Will they increase the official cash rate? Will they hold it where it is, or will they cut it?